Welcome back to Rob's Restoration Garage. This is going to be a little bit of a different episode. In my last episode, I just happened to wear a University of South Carolina Gamecocks hat. It actually wasn't mine. I found it in my garage. I think it was one of my boy's friends. I'm not really a Gamecock fan, but as fate would have it, somebody who watches my videos is from South Carolina and saw a Gamecocks hat, reached out to me. Turns out that he's got a project of his own, and he's only about an hour and 20 minutes away from me. So today I'm driving to his house to see how he's working on his midget and what it looks like. He's already sent me some pictures and he's way further ahead than I am. So I think I'm going to have a lot to learn from him today. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be awesome. Meet somebody new, see their project, learn something. It's going to be a good day. So you're going to travel along with me. All right, guys, I am here with my new friend. This is Jim, and we are in his shop. Man, way more space than what I have. And you can see he has his midget on a rotisserie, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, Jim, tell us what you got. What is it? What year is it? How long you been working on it? What did you start with? So, what year is this one?
Rod, this is a 1977 Midget.
All right.
It's the famous rubber bumper car.
The rubber bumper car.
And I've had it since February of this year. And when I first got it, I enjoyed it for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But the first thing I decided was I didn't like the color.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to repaint it. And after I made that decision, I started taking it apart to get it prepared for repainting. And the more I took it apart, the more I determined that it needed more than just a paint job.
Yeah.
It needed a total restoration.
All right.
So that's when it began.
Yeah.
That's when the process began.
It's like all these, you find out, you dig into them, and there's more stuff wrong with it than you realize. You start stripping stuff away. There's Bondo in this hole and that hole.
Exactly. There's rot here where you didn't expect it.
Yep. I'm definitely in that place too. So talk about where you started first. What did you start cutting out first? What did you repair first? What did that look like for you?
The first place I started was on the driver's side, which is this is the left-hand driver. And so I started here, and I took the outer seal off, and of course that exposed some rot on the inner seal.
Yep.
And the first thing I did was I replaced some of the inner seal and prepared the car for the new outer seal.
Right.
And of course, once I got into it that far, I determined that the floors needed to be replaced.
Yeah. Nice.
So I started taking the floors out. And so at that point, I had it pretty much opened up.
Yeah.
No floors, no inner or outer seal. And I just started making replacement panels and patch panels.
Yep.
I started putting it back together.
Gotcha. Did you have to do any, I didn't ask you this earlier, but did you have to do any, like I had done my support on the inside to kind of hold it in shape. Did you do any of that or no?
I did. I decided I wanted to avoid having to build any kind of fixture or
I got
structure
you.
to do that.
Okay.
So I did it in small sections.
Right.
Instead of taking the whole floor out, I just took
Pieces of it.
out.
Okay. Yeah. So repair a piece.
Yeah.
It still got integrity. Cut another piece out. Repair it. Still got integrity. It still
Exactly.
holds it. Okay.
Exactly.
So let's flip it over and let's look at the floor. And I'm gonna bring the camera a little closer just so we can see it when we get over there. All right. Let's roll this thing over. Take a look. Nice. Yeah, so pull it this way so you can see the floor. So you patch some floor panels in. This is what you were talking about. Like you do this part first, and the
Right.
old section was still in there.
Exactly.
Then once that's solid, then you can cut the next piece out.
Cut the next piece, put it in, get it solid.
Yep, yeah.
And just keep putting it back together piece at a time.
Nice. But this side you obviously did as one whole piece, or did you do the same thing there?
I did. For this side, I didn't have as much of the inner seal that I had to remove.
I gotcha.
So it maintained integrity.
Okay.
And I was then able to take the whole floor from here to here out and replace that as one big piece.
Yeah.
And of course, this little strip down the middle, I left, that's original. It didn't really need any.
Right. And it's got
replacement.
it's all welded in the inside too because you got the whole tube.
This is the bottom of the tunnel.
Right, the tunnel.
So that's the approach that I've taken. And you can see I took a little different approach with this side. These two pieces of the floor panels went in from the inside.
Yeah.
Whereas this half here went onto the car from the outside.
Yep. Yep. Nice. And this is where we were talking about earlier. Use that flange tool to basically flange these out so that it would lay in.
Right.
Yep.
And even though they were applied differently, they are still in the same plane as the original floor.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And this is a flange around the outer edge, and then holes punched for plug welding.
Yep. Looks good. All right, let's roll it back over. Let's take a look at the. Man, I got to go this route for sure. Even though there's going to be a cost involved, I'm going to have to convince my wife that that's what we're going to do. So.
That noise you hear are the little safety
Pins.
chains dangling around.
Yeah. Yeah, so you did this little patch panel on the inside, patch some of the inner sill, then you put the outer sill on first.
Right.
And talk about like when you did the A pillar and the inner sill, like talk about how you kept all that straight, because that's been my biggest concern is like how do I keep all that stuff straight so that it matches up right.
Well, after I got the outer seal welded back in place,
Right.
one of the guides that I used was to make sure that it ran parallel to the inner seal, which this part of the inner seal I didn't remove.
Right. So
It
that's
was
good
still
because you can
there.
go right off of that from
And
a
I could
measurement.
use that as a guide.
Gotcha.
So that helped me line up and place the outer seal in place. And once I got that installed, then I started cutting away this A-post because it had some rot in it. And I replaced the door hinged inner part from about this level down.
Yeah.
And I replaced this outer skin of the A-post from about right here down.
And you said you had done that in two pieces, I think, when we were talking about it earlier, right? Like you did a lower piece, then
Well-
you do an upper piece, or no?
Well, the outer skin is
One
one
whole
single
piece.
piece from here to here.
Gotcha.
Now, the inner part is from about right here down.
Down. Okay.
As a patch.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I determined was that the door is a 90-degree square angle in this area. So I was very particular to make sure that I put the skin back on exactly 90 degrees with the outer seal.
Yeah.
So that when I put the door back on, it would,
all
the gap
line up.
would match.
Yeah. Did you try to dry fit the door, put the door on a couple
I
times
did.
to make sure?
You put it on, you take it off. You put it on, you take it off.
Yep.
You make sure you get all your gaps right, and then once you're happy with your gaps, you can clamp these pieces in place and weld
Yeah.
them.
And then start welding in. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks good. I think the seams and everything look good. Your gaps are all look good. Talk about, because with mine, we were talking about this earlier. My fenders were pretty good, but yours were a little rotted on the bottom, so you had to cut the bottom parts of it off and
I did.
patch all that stuff.
And while I had the car in this position, I decided to go ahead and fit this patch panel to make sure I got this gap and this gap right, and make sure that this angle matched up. I had to do a little repair, or not repair, but I had
Stretch
to
it out a little bit.
stretch it out, cut it open, stretch it out, and weld it back.
Mm-hmm.
When I was happy with that, then when I come back with the outer fender, or wing as they call it,
Yeah.
I can make sure that this is going to match up and fit
Yeah.
this right.
So you'll end up taking this back off,
I'll take it back off.
then weld it onto the fender, the wing.
Yeah.
Then you'll be able to bolt the whole thing back
Yeah, I'll probably test fit the outer fender
on there.
on the car and make sure I have my cut line just right,
Yeah.
and make sure everything fits while the two pieces are mounted on the car.
Yeah.
And I may even tack weld them in place right there on the car.
Looks great. So that whole piece, and then you did a flange on the side, right?
Right here and
And it allowed
here.
you to put it in.
Yeah, I flanged here and I flanged across here, and so this piece comes out and overlaps this piece.
Yeah.
And I punched holes, I think, in one or the other. Maybe I punched holes in this piece
Yeah.
and plug welded it.
And then it slid down on the other side of that, the bottom of the footwell. It's on the outside of it, right? Doesn't it bump?
Yeah, it goes past this
Yeah,
piece.
right.
It goes all the way out to the vertical piece.
It does
And
attach to the vertical. Does it attach to the vertical
It
piece?
does, and it covers that little triangular hole.
Right.
Goes right past it. And I've got photos of that.
Yeah. You know, I might have you send them to me.
Because when I took all this off, it opened up that little triangular hole.
Yeah.
And I cleaned it out as best I could.
Yeah.
And then I spray painted primer inside
Side of it,
and
yeah.
got it ready to be
Yeah.
closed back up.
What I think I'm gonna have to do with mine is, first of all, I got to clean everything out of it, because it's not like like yours is really clean. I think I've got to do mine is, because it, like I said, it has all that like rubber sealer and stuff in there. I've got to scrape all that rubber sealer out so I can see what's actually metal and what's not rust.
Exactly.
I think I've got to do that, but I may have you send me the pictures of that, because it'll be helpful, because I think I'm gonna have to do a patch piece like what you did up in the front,
Mm-hmm.
because mine's rotted. I'm sure they rot all in the same place,
They
but
do. I've even seen videos that point out all of the places to look for rust when you're considering buying a
Yeah.
Midget.
like when I look at this piece right here, mine's all rusted through here, and I
Mine
think
was
it's solid.
too.
I think it's solid out here, but you're saying once you cut all that piece out, you could see inside there, and
Well,
this
I
allowed
could-
you to give it
From this angle, I could see inside that triangle.
right.
And mine was all rotten here too. So this is a patch. Goes out to about here, and I had to replace that. I had to cut it out and replace it. And then this little strip right here is the shut plate
Yeah.
for the.
Did you make it or buy it?
No, it came with.
Yeah, I say I
with the
bought
seal.
mine too. Yeah. Yeah, that works. Roll it up, roll it over so I can see what that part looks like right here. Okay. Yeah, so your floor was still good up to here.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get inside there, you can see what you can weld to and what you can't weld to.
This is open in there, all the way down to there.
Yeah.
And I don't know for sure, but I think these are little access holes. If you want to, you can take the plug out and you can squirt preservative in there, maybe
Something to seal
ball
it
and
or
chain oil or something.
yeah.
Yeah, I decided I didn't like rubber bumpers, so I'm
Yeah.
deleting those.
No rubber bumpers. So
No
you're
rubber
getting rid of the
bumpers.
rubber bumper. So what did that take in order to do that?
Well, it took a new rear valance. So this part that's in black here is a new piece.
Yeah, cut it all
I
out.
had to cut it all out, remove it. And what I've gone back with is a more classic look, because this is not part of a rubber bumper car.
Right, because the bumper covers that part up, right?
Yeah, the bumper runs right across here. And in order to fit this, I had to cut the two frame rails off and cap them.
Yeah.
And then I had to replace not only the rear valance, but the bottom of the rear fender, the rear quarter, and fashion this in to where it would look like a traditional body style.
So when you bought this replacement panel, did you have to go with an older year?
I did.
Yes, because that would, like mine has this solid piece,
Exactly.
but the 77 wouldn't. So you'd have to just buy an older. Do you remember what year? Like what year was that have been? Like probably pre-70.
Pre-75.
Yeah, pre-71 or 72, whenever they started with that. Well, I don't know that this is any different than what mine is, even as a 65. So yeah, you got to reshape this. You were saying you got to cut the end rail that's in here because it would have stuck out.
Exactly.
Cap it off, and then put a new valance. So would this be an older year too then? The rear valance?
It probably is a rear balance for an older model car without the rubber
Or
bumper.
would it be the steel bumper ones? Yeah. But you're not going bumper. You're going bumperless.
I'm going bumperless. No bumper.
No bumper.
You see that Corvette over there has no bumper. So,
It is. It's built in.
if they can have no bumpers, then this car can.
That's right. I get that. So you're also doing away with side
I'm
markers.
doing away with side marker lights. I'm doing away with these backup lights. I will apply filler over this
Yep.
and make this little indentation go away.
Right.
And I'll have a similar approach to the front end. I'll have no bumper.
No bumper.
And I'll have a grill instead.
That's
A more
cool.
traditional look to the front.
Yeah. I think it's gonna look good. Now we were talking earlier too. You're doing the car would have originally had black. Is this original? Is this original color on the car? Probably is, isn't it?
The original color was an orange.
Yeah.
It's been resprayed at some point in its life
Sure.
to a little darker shade of orange.
Yeah. Would have been orange, black seat, final seats.
Exactly.
You're going with red.
I'm going with really, really bright red,
Red.
with tan seat covers and trim panels,
Yep.
black carpet, and a black hood,
Right.
convertible top.
Sure. What about the dash? Keeping it the same?
I'm going to keep the dash original.
Yeah. Did yours have a radio in it? We were talking about this earlier. Mine didn't have a radio in it. But
Mine had a
I think you can. There's a
radio.
retrofit you can do for a radio if you wanted to put one in, but I'm not sure I would want to do that.
I'm of the opinion a little British sports car doesn't need a radio.
Radio, yeah.
So I'm deleting the radio and I'm deleting the little center console that holds the radio.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very clean, pure sports car.
Yeah. I like it. That's good. I've learned a ton. Guys, I gotta tell you, he knows what he's doing. He says he doesn't, but he does. He's way ahead of me. I've learned a ton just about some of the tools that he's used. The rotisserie is awesome. Gonna definitely have to go with that, I think.
You've got to get a rotisserie.
Yes. We'll give you my wife's number. You can
I'll be glad to talk to you.
tell her. If you tell her it'll save my life, that might be the thing that'll get it. So, yeah, great, man.
Could you imagine trying to weld in floor pans lying on your back?
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I definitely have got to think about how I'm going to do that, and the rotisserie is definitely a good option to go with. So, yeah, man, I've enjoyed. It's been such a great getting to know you and spending time with you. I'm sure we're going to talk again.
Yeah.
And
Now that we've determined that we're only like an hour's drive apart.
yeah, it's weird, guys. The story is it turns out that Jim's home that he grew up in is not very far from my house, about 2 miles from my house. So we're gonna definitely get to know each other. You're gonna get done before me. I can
Maybe.
I can guarantee that.
Maybe.
And I'm gonna take a drive in it when you get it finished. Now yours, we were talking about motors a little bit ago. Yours is the 1500 cc.
Right.
Mine's a little smaller, 1098 cc, but you said yours is good. It's a solid motor, runs great, transmission's good.
Needs no work as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
Transmission shifts smoothly,
right.
no issues there. So
I think you're set. So next, we talked a little bit about this too. What's next steps? Your next thing you're going to work on is what's the next piece for you to put together?
well, I'm at the point where the next approach that I'm going to take will be replacing the front balance.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
So I've got to cut the front frame rails off and fit the new balance. And once I get that installed, I'll be almost to the point where I'm ready to get it blasted down to bare metal
Yeah.
and start the repainting process.
That's good. And you've got your own little painting booth you've already built and ready to go, and you're jealous. Maybe, I could put mine on a trailer and bring
Bring
it
it
up
on
here.
down.
It's not that far. And when I go to get to that point, when I go to paint mine, so we'll see. Well, man, great. It's been awesome. We've been here for a couple hours just talking through it.
Yeah.
And it's been
Getting to know one another.
yeah, getting to know each other.
Talking cars.
Talking cars has been a fun thing. So
It is.
guys, it's great to be able to see somebody else's project and get a chance to know somebody who's doing some of the same things that I'm doing. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode to see somebody who's way further along than I am. So hope you've enjoyed it.